Poor Goblin was taking a nap and I woke her up and she was like, I will have my revenge.
But Dr. Pro-tem just being a loner cat, singleton is only hydrogen.
There we go.
But if you add some neutral bits to it, you can make deuterium or even tritium if you so choose. There's actually, I think they've gotten isotopes up to
People are mad at me on Twitter because people are always mad at me on Twitter because they want my opinion about a lesbian dating app or something, and I'm like, what? Why? Why? Who cares?
Yeah, right?
What does a lesbian dating app have to do with trans rights? Fucking nothing. God. Well, it's like any fucking excuse. It's like any fucking excuse.
Button. If you please. If you please. There you go.
We are having, I'm still having a lot of fun since yesterday. I'm just
I'm getting some good work done. There's some noxious thing happened on the internet where they made some changes. It was a defect in how things were not properly decentralized, and so people made some decisions that were kind of unfortunate that I'm having to work around because I'm my own service provider. So I gotta do stuff.
There's a button here.
Are we starting?
Yeah, but we can't because I can't play the audio. Where is it? Where is it? I don't know where it is. There it is.
Oh, that one. Wrong
yeah, it's not Dumbfuck Friday. What are you talking about? What's going on? Hi, everybody. We're professionals. Hello. Oh my God, is Landon gonna do the Dumbfuck Friday?
Yeah.
Dumbfuck Friday. Dumb.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, don't get me wrong, that we have a lot of stuff that could definitely contribute to a Dumbfuck Friday today, but like this week, we're not, it's next week.
We're patient.
Is that what that is? I think we just have other more important things to do.
Right?
Believe it or not, but I do personally think that the Volcano show is more interesting, more valuable, and more like worth more to the world than fucking talking about dumbass Andrew Tate shit or whoever the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Human trafficking, human trafficking.
I guess human trafficking is really important.
And how are folks doing today? How are you besides energetic and things going in the background and so forth? How are you folks doing? How are you folks online doing?
It's the weekend. Does anybody have any cool plans? We have plans. We have plans this weekend. It's the tavern tomorrow.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yay. I don't know if this is gonna be the right one. Hopefully it is.
I am finally free of my course this semester. All the assignments are done and submitted. Just waiting on the mark. They haven't updated the marks yet. I don't know why. So
you always know that there's trouble brewing when Maanyaa is done her assignments because it means she's gonna go start cheesing the internet.
Now be nice, Maanyaa, be nice.
She will not.
Oh, no, it's already begin. It's already begin, Landon. Too late. It's too late.
Oh, womp.
So yeah, we've got a show today. Shall we show on?
Yeah, let's do it up. What we got?
Very important appointment.
Yeah, what's been going on? I put a bit of a description in the I put a bit of a description in the description.
in the section of the video.
I'm gonna rip your arm off and I'm gonna beat you with your arm.
Yes, I'm free.
By the way, this is Iceland volcano. How do you feel?
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
You can watch it there. It's got some nice dribbly bits on it. It's got some there's some stuff there, and occasionally you see stuff. Oh, look at that! Ooh, boop!
Ooh, nice.
Little boops. Can you boop a volcano?
I think not.
It may not be advisable. It might bite
not
your finger off.
advisable. Yeah.
Look at there's a bird there. Anyway, yes, this is live in Iceland. But it's just it's been sort of going like this for a while. Iceland has had a good run, but as longtime viewers might know, or new viewers, welcome, might be surprised to learn, volcanoes are really common. Earth is a very wiggly, volcano-y planet. Here right now is a list of volcanoes. 58 are active, and 38 are actually spewing lava right now. Probably the areas in the lead is Indonesia with 8 active, 8 volcanoes with spewing stuff. As you can see down here, there's again the usual 2 in Guatemala, 1 in Nicaragua, Central Mexico has got 1, Ecuador's got 2, Peru's got 1, Chile's got 1, Japan has 2, and
more volcanoes than
various
you
things
can
in
shake
Russia's
a stick at.
Sandwich Islands is going. Erebus, of course, in Antarctica is continuing, and so forth. So you see lots of volcanoes. Volcanoes are a very common thing. They're not the harbinger of doom. They're a very natural process. And
I don't know. I think they're an arbiter of doom for certain things and certain people at certain time frames when they decide to not leave or have regular precautions.
Yeah, but we were just looking at this.
More of a personal doom than like a Marjorie Taylor
yes.
Greene, the world is ending kind of doom.
Yes. There's no space lasers involved with these.
But there might be Jews involved. I'm sure there are some Jewish scientists studying volcanoes. Come on.
I believe there are.
I see?
I know. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know one person.
There you go.
Yeah.
Chesh right again. Got him.
Yay.
Okay, so that's general thing. So Madam Pele is not erupting right now, but she was just a short while ago. And in fact, if we look at the data there, it actually started on June 4th, just after 30 minutes after midnight, and it ran for a whopping 11 to 12 hours and then stopped.
11
to 12 hours. Now, at the time when it started off, we were getting out gases around 12,000 tons per day of solid dioxide, and that sort of and it was short enough eruption that they really didn't get good cameras down there for live feeds, because it wasn't, by the time they got down there, it wasn't live anymore. But we'll talk about that in a moment. So for those that had the
can you zoom that in a little bit, Landon?
Erupt.
Please.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Not erupting, right? So right now, the volcanic gas emissions were around 100 tons per day right now. Solid dioxides were to 12 to 15,000 tons per day around June 3rd, and then 5,500 tons per day on June 4th when it was erupting. So there is, but right now it's not erupting. So it's a short-lived eruption. People say, "Oh, what do you mean a short-lived eruption?"
Yeah.
Some people got used to this 35.5 years of dancing. Well, sometimes Pele takes little short jigs. By the way, I'm drinking out of my Madam Pele mug. in honor of
Yeah.
the volcano. And so anyway, so this is what happens right now. It's not erupting. It was erupting just a while ago. If you look at the DI events, the deflation tilt meters, right? Here is the last day or so, and you see here, I can squish in even more for those there. So this was the last day, and you just see a steady climb. Here is the actual eruption, right? This is what happened during the eruption. You can see it dropped.
Wow.
Almost 12 microradians, right? It's a big drop. So the eruption. Now the eruption, we detected lava coming out around this time. So we saw the big plunge. Remember, this tilt meter is up the top at the summit, but the eruption didn't happen at the summit. The eruption happened in a different spot. So it took. So we saw the summit tilting inward rapidly. It had a couple of series of earthquakes. So you see these little jagged bits right there. There were a couple of earthquakes around magnitude 4 leading up to the eruption.
Landon, would you say that? Would you say that it's been? Could you say it was dropped like it was hot? Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. That's from Athens in the chat, by the way.
But okay. That's because I was wondering if you were being funny, because I'm told you're not.
I'm not being funny. Athens is being funny. I'm just highlighting Athens being funny right now. Listen, I know I'm the funniest person on the planet, but I like to highlight other people's attempts that are slightly a little. I know they're below mine, but I like to shout them out when they're.
So we see the DI meter start moving downward radically about 12 hours before lava broke free. But we've seen flips like that before. But if you look at it from the long-term point of view, here is the month, right? And we see in the month here, we have these DI events every couple of days. And in fact, if you think about the eruption, this is just one of those other DI events, right? It lasted only about 12 hours. And so in part, you might see that what the current ongoing rise here for this day, here it is. Is just another part of the DI event.
I don't know why my brain thought that like Madam Pele just farted. Farted and she was done, and she's like, okay.
We know where Maanyaa's mind is at the moment.
She farted. Oh god.
Yes,
because it's so small, right? That dip is so small. Like it's like you can't consider it like it's like a fart.
Now I will point out historically we have had in this region some very short eruptions in the region where the lava came out. They've had some long eruptions, but they also had some short eruptions. If you look at the history of Pele, she has sort of these long events and then long pauses, and these sometimes short things with pauses in between. So if we look at the GPS now, this is the measure of the span across the caldera. We see this drop. Right? Again, typically when there are eruptions, the result is the summit sort of sags in, and so we see here's an eruption, here is an eruption. This is the span of the past year, and then this is a little mini eruption. See a little tiny bot. So this was not an eruption here, but this one was. On the longer scheme of things, of 5 years, we see here's an eruption, here's an eruption. Remember, these are not indicators of eruptions coming. These are a result of the eruption. So these are like lagging indicators. There was, in the tilt meter wise, a drop, but if you look on the long term of things, there's been other drops, right? This is not an eruption, but this one was. So the DI events are much wider than usual, but but it seems like this rhythm is just continuing on. There's a little earthquake there. These are earthquake spikes. leading to the eruption. The eruption started around here and went down about here. Again, eruption started about here and stopped around here. So it actually was, the eruption was a result of a deflation, where the mountain was deflated because magma was coming to the surface and spewing on as lava. All right, so let's move on to maps. So this is where the initial spot occurred. We saw from cameras up here at the observatory that there was glow in this direction. Remember, we had thought about this area, southwest rift zone, being a potential thing for magma movements, and this is a magma movement. It just happened to move up onto the surface. There have
Zoom us
been
in, Landon.
some. What? Zoom, zoom, zoom?
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Okay.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
All right.
That was a Disney. That was a Disney Channel exclusive movie.
Okay.
A title song.
Okay.
It's an area that was on the south side of the ridge. So if it had been erupting, it would have gone, down towards the ocean. There were people that drove along Chain of Craters, also saw some views here of glowy bits, but not much. So this is the region. So here is the central top of the mountain, called the mountain mouth, the place where it had been this wonderful lava lake that's now frozen over. And remember, we had a short period eruption here. We had a short period eruption here as well. And now we've had a short period eruption here. Also remember, in this region that there are actually two, the model is that there are two magma conduits. One is deep and the other one's shallow. And it appears that the shallow one actually broke to the surface. It does not have much. The shallow magma conduit is small. It didn't have much to produce. If we look at the when they actually got some helicopter flights over it, we saw that there was actually 4 rifts opened up, 4 cracks.
Huh.
This is very typical. Remember, this is a spine in the southwest rift zone, goes in sort of this direction here. And so this is very typical of the side cracking open and lava coming out. Again, what's typical with the southwest rift zone is you get long chains of fountains that start. Well, this one was not very long, and then it kind of favors one spot and interrupts. If we look at here, we can see the thermal cameras. Let's go in and zoom in. So we saw from here, from the satellite scans, that while it started off with a couple of these cracks, it tended to start favoring this one crack here, this one rift. I believe if you look at this one was number 3, if I recall correctly. Number 3 here. That was the longest part of this eruption. Here is a early morning thing with a helicopter. There's 2 helicopters that located the one of the rifts. I think this is rift number 3, and you can see in here a nice little helicopter and a little bit of the action, right? So we go into.
So the gas levels were down, safe enough to hover over there, is it?
This particular helicopter is upwind from the gas.
Okay, yeah.
This helicopter is not in the gas. That would be very bad for a helicopter.
The helicopter, haha, I'm in danger.
Yes.
Stuck in a tree, and then it looks like pilot error.
It's in
How do you know? You don't fly a helicopter, Maanyaa.
The other folks that took this I believe, were also in a helicopter upwind from it. They were doing some spotting for them. Here's another picture of the of this eruption. This was at 6 in the morning. So you had just dawn had just broken, sun's rising, and we can see the 4 zones: 1, 2, 3, which is more active, most active at and 4. So,
Cool.
but it didn't last very long, right? The eruption started getting anemic around another 4 hours, and then in another 2 hours after that, it kind of stopped. Had a mine go in and out. They actually hiked out to the area because it's a remote area in the park, and they had this nice little rainbow from the gases and the vapor coming out of the vent, because that's one of the things besides sulfur dioxide. It also, volcanoes spew out water.
It's almost a rainbow.
Yeah, this is an area here in 1974 where it had a large eruption, and you can see after almost almost 50 years, half century, there's bushes and plants come up there, so life comes back. There were a couple of glow pictures we had from people coming on the road, the Champions Road, looking at things. A couple of overflight stuff here. I wanted to give you. We did have a live action thing here. We can see.
Oh, is this from the helicopter?
Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh. Ooh, nice.
This was that other helicopter.
Don't try this at home.
That you saw in the picture.
Look at that gas.
Oof. When you observe it like closely, it's a long rift. How many kilometers was it?
That's the old cameras over there.
Yeah.
Where we thought it was going to go, but it came out later. Nice cracks. Ooh, you can see that.
Wow.
A
crevasse.
Madam.
If I was
Madam Pele is like, you wanted action? Here you go.
If I was playing Minecraft, I would call that a fuck off hole.
Oh, okay.
Oh look, so I found a portal to hell.
How long was the whole rift where the eruption happened? Combining all
it's not very long.
In kilometers, maybe?
If we look at let's see, if we look at the thing here, here's a map of this is a kilometer. So this is see, down here is a kilometer. Lies down here.
So 2 kilometers
from here to here, 2 to 2.5 kilometers.
Okay,
some of these are like
that's not long.
Yeah. I mean, it's not long from some of these other historic ones where they had long curtains of stuff. So we had hoped, but because it gets, again, I think it's that upper tube that broke out. We didn't get very long in its.
That's what the shallow earthquakes were about. Last time we were like, oh my god, like the number of shallow earthquakes had increased, if I'm not wrong, or am I wrong?
Yes, and we'll see the earthquake count here in just a bit. But you're right,
shallow,
there were earthquakes.
Not deep.
Yeah, and the shallow ones. And if you go back to this eruption map, the shallow ones were in this region here, and one thing you could say is that there's a deeper magma tube that goes a little bit to the north, a little upslope from where the more shallow magma tube is. That deeper magma tube caused a lot of ground deflation. If you remember,
magma tube.
That 1971 tube is crying, desperate to meet Helema Mau. Sorry, Helema
Mau.
Oh boy.
The House of Ferns.
Yeah. So the 1971 rift is like reaching out, like, come join me, be a better person.
Yeah. There are other rifts in this area, but there's lots of cracks and rifts. So you can see this stuff in there. So one thing you could consider, one model, but we need more data, is that the deeper magma tube, which goes far down. If you come over here, goes far down to the southwest, was expanding, and part of expansion cracked the rocks in this region to the point where the upper magma tube could leak out. The earthquakes that were in this area were part of this region basically being pushed towards the ocean. Ocean, if you will, is down
Question from the chat from Baba. It asks, what kind of volcanoes are these that we're talking about?
These are shield volcanoes, and it is in a thin spot on the crust of the Pacific plate, and so these are shield type stuff. The lava tends to be very hot and very fluid. It's not the andesitic pasty stuff that you'll find on continents. So the lava flows tend to be freely flowing, high temperature, low silicon, not the pasty stuff. So they don't tend to go bang as much. It can go bang, but they tend to not get thick lava that causes it to go pop. It tends to ooze. And you see here's the Big Island of Hawaii for the person to ask. Here's the Big Island of Hawaii. And we have the big Mauna Loa eruption. There's Mauna Kea, which is dormant, but Kilauea is in this box here in this region. So that's active. Mauna Loa is active but not erupting. And also this is another volcano here. The Boalai is also in this region here. It is active, although it hasn't erupted for about 200 years. Mauna Loa is active and erupted last year, and Kilauea is probably the most active volcano. There's another little one down here that hasn't broken to the surface. So these are big shield volcanoes that we're talking about. But a good question.
Very cool.
If we go here and look for other things, so scientists went out to grab samples later in the day after the eruption sort of stopped. They'd hoped to go there and get live lava, but the eruption had kind of ceased by the time they got out to that region. How did
you make that call? How did you make that call that the eruptions had started and nothing's not happening? I know, like, on the surface you couldn't see something happening, but you know how did you assess that it was safe enough to land there? That's the question.
Well, a couple of things. That the earthquakes were not they're not significant earthquakes. The helicopter flyover was done first to assess where things were flowing, and then later on when they did another flyover and it was just more gas, they said, okay, we can land in this region. The helicopter pilots kind of know where it's safe to land, and they plan. Typically, the way they approach is you land farther away. You have people monitoring the various telemetry from the volcano, just to make sure if they see any sudden change to get people out of there. They plan 3 routes from the helicopter spot to the sample site, and because you have backup routes, and then you put on your gas masks, and you also approach upwind. You notice the wind is going away from the person, and the person has on a hazmat suit and a gas mask. Another one that's there now. This person gets a little bit of points off because that mask is not really properly fitted. I apologize for this.
Points, negative points, womp, 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 womp. Very important.
Landon!
It's not Landon's fault. Landon didn't do it. Unless that's you, Landon. Is that you? Did you do that?
If you see here, this is the gas meter, so forth there. So in some ways in this area, you could say the person, they've assessed that the wind is blowing away. There's not a lot of gases there. And so they could be forgiven at least for being relaxed. But still,
So
I wouldn't do that. But
so the you can say the task of having like 3 incoming and escape routes is kind of similar to factories that have refrigeration supported by ammonia. So they also have the same thing.
oh
They're
yes,
going to evacuate. They will have multiple exits, and depending on which way the wind is blowing, and that's why anytime the red sock on the roof is damaged, it's like we get up there and you have to repair it because you need to know which direction the wind is going. So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
it has happened on one of our sites where the wind was blowing in, the direction not expected, and it took a while for them to make sure that everybody went by the right exit.
Sure.
And yeah, so that's a good one.
The meteorology, you're right, and that's a very good point, Maanyaa, and it's good that they do that with ammonia, because ammonia is not your friend, and if you want to continue breathing.
It's not your friend if you would like to continue breathing, he says. I mean, who wants to do that? There's breatharians out there that only survive on breathing. Do you hate breatharians, Landon?
Landon, is it ammonia? No, I don't know. Or is it carbon dioxide that displaces oxygen quite quickly? It's carbon dioxide.
Well, Project CO2 will displace oxygen as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes, if you're playing with dry ice, be mindful that the CO2 that's coming out hugs on the floor, and so don't have a giant tub with your party up top and send the kids down to the basement out of the way, because the gas then pulls down there. And
don't have a pool party. Don't have a pool party and dunk the dry ice into the pool and then jump in the pool for funsies. Do not do that ever.
I don't know. Did you check with Google AI?
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
So
what is it?
So back to the safety protocols. I thank you, Maanyaa, for inquiring about this. I mean, one of the things that one of the part of the team as well is a meteorologist who looks at the current weather situation. If, for example, there was a storm front passing to the north or south, then they are monitoring whether the trade winds can flip. They also try to assess. That's one of the things that helicopters do. They assess currents, upper currents, to make sure the currents are consistent, because you really do want to be upwind from it. Now, if it turned out that for some reason the wind suddenly shifted, well, they do have gas meters. They do have gas masks on, as this person does it.
Sar from the chat said you should place your balls directly on dry ice from Google AI.
Really? Oh god!
I don't think.
Can we get a link to that?
I don't. I think he's just kidding, but I can see it.
Oh, okay.
I can see that.
Can we do a Google search?
Yeah, and of course, another thing to understand, Maanyaa, is that there's a purpose for going out here. This is not just a tourist thing. There is a particular objective, and once the objective is met, even if you consider it safe, you leave. Now they leave behind instrumentation. In fact, what this person is doing over here is setting up an instrumentation system, a camera system, and a monitoring system in case the eruption resumes in this area. Right now, they're watching seismic activity. They're watching gas meters. They're watching tilt meters. They're watching GPS activity, and there are multiple people doing it, not just a person on the ground who's there. They have people back at the station doing monitoring of telemetry, and things like loss of telemetry or a change in pattern is something they would then send the alert saying, get out of there. Even when the eruption, lava is not coming to the surface, there still is earthquakes and other things going on there. It's rumbly wiggly with a particular harmonic pattern. It's called harmonic tremors. And if those harmonic tremors change in phase, change in amplitude, or other events happen, then there's somebody who basically calls, says, time to leave. So there for the purpose of establishing meters, establishing instrumentation, learning what's happening. And then getting, and collecting samples. So here's a case of very fresh lava that's only a couple hours old, with bits and pieces that flew out. Obviously, there's spattering that causes these other things. So they pick up samples to understand what the volcano is doing. One other thing in particular is you want to look at the gases that are trapped in the rock, because that'll tell you what was boiling. They'll tell you the level. Because remember, deep down, the gases are compressed and liquefied. And as the magma approaches to the surface, though the pressure drops, those gases go from liquid to vapor. They boil and cause the rock to become quite foamy. And so part of the reason to grab samples of this is to say what gases have just boiled, to understand how far down the magma is coming from, to understand the nature of their. Part of it is also so that people on the island can respond safely. Now, this particular eruption did not cause any hazards to people, other than maybe some. I don't know if there's some dumb tourists that tried to hike over the top to see it. Those are the ones that emergency people tend to have to go and rescue because they do stupid things. Hopefully not. Hopefully everyone was there. So let's look at earthquakes, if you will. So here's the earthquake scatter for the last 7 days. And we can see here's Holy Mama, here's the lava lake. This is the Southwest Rift Zone. Here is a kilometer distance. And we can see that this region here had a pile of earthquakes. There certainly was movement from the top down, but down the lower spine, not the the more northern one. I mean, not the deeper spine, which is farther over here. It's the more shallower spine.
One.
Yeah, and there were some significant quakes here, but they were relatively. All these quakes were relatively shallow, like 700 meters, 1 kilometer. That's 1.6. Well, but here's a half kilometer. So, but this is a magnitude 4, right? So there was a couple of big quakes in the region of the crack. They're kind of piled up here, but there's a couple of magnitude 4s that occurred in this region. This small region here, there were 365 quakes, most of them in the last couple of days. But if you look at today, almost nothing. There's only 11, and these are probably aftershocks, things that are settling as ground sort of settles from the magma retreating. And if you look at greater than 2.5, there's none there. These are fairly low intensity earthquakes, right? 2.3. This one's a 0.9. That's really tiny. So part of the reason why we say that the eruption is paused, well, 1, we don't see lava out there. 2, we don't have the gas emissions. We went from rates that were approaching 12 to 15,000 tons a day down to the current flow, which is only less than 100 tons per day.
Alex from the chat says, contrary to what Minecraft would tell you, however, obsidian is not harder than diamond, and it doesn't take 8 million years to mine.
Yes, that is true. And in fact, if you look at this particular image here,
theory.
This is glass. I mean, this is the top of this thing is silicates. This is glass.
That's cool.
Lots of sharp glass.
I'm assuming it's glass, but it'd be like the reason why it's not like transparent or a pane like you would see with glass on average is because it's not pure.
Yes, a lot of impurities. Also, it's very fresh. This will dull over time as acids and environment begins to etch away. It cools down, but also on top of this, the impurities are high nutrients, right? This is a really, as it cools down, it's going to be a really active petri dish, and bacteria and other probes just go to town. This thing turns into this whole petri dish bloom, and one of the hazards being out in this area is slipping and falling, being cut, because it's like you're being cut and you can get into your bloodstream a really bad infection because the biosphere is going to town munching on this new munchy tasty rockets.
That's like Boomy from the Avatar.
Yeah.
Tasty. Just...
And that's one of the things also the safety protocols. You have people with medical kits there. People are trained if they have even the slightest stumble to inspect their skin for any breaks because you could get bad infections. Again, it's not like just some kitchen counter thing. This is really full of all kinds of bacterial stuff that you have to be protective of. And they have materials there to cleanse the wound and to the whole protocol. They tell people if you were to stumble slightly, get an inspection, make sure you haven't had a cut. And if you do, get it treated now. And that's the problem is that people coming over here and start walking on this thing, it'll be safe, in a couple of days. But this is very slick glass stuff, and you can slip and fall and cut yourself, and bad things can happen. So
question.
Here is, go ahead.
So you talk about cutting yourself, right? So when you go out to collect the samples, what type of gloves I know you will have to wear temperature resistant gloves, yeah, but might be a stupid question, but are they cut proof too? Like, are they cut resistant?
Yeah, they have Kevlar type of
honestly, I'm looking at this.
Hands.
I'm looking at the screen right now, and I'm expecting like a cryptid to go by, like some SCP shit.
So this is around 2:30 in the morning Hawaii time. So
Bonnie's
the eruption
having
had
none
been
of my
going
sass today.
For about 2 hours, and you can see little bit glowy bits. This is this camera which is looking off towards the edge and didn't see anything here. This was at last night. Here's another one. It's just basically black. This is from looking from Mauna Loa back over towards Kilauea. Not any glow there. Today, if we look at stuff, here's the various cameras going on, and right now here's a live shot looking off. Here's that flow, and you can see there's just a little bit of wispy gas there, but you can do a live stream there, and yeah, not much going on there. Look at this one. This is looking off towards Kilauea from Mauna Loa and off in this area, and there's a little tiny wispy gas thing here, but
oh my god, it's so small.
Much.
It's teeny tiny baby.
Mauna Loa is pretty big compared with the Kilauea.
Well, and it's such a curve.
This is only part way up the slope too.
Yeah.
This is only like a third way up the slope.
Yeah.
Air quality wise is another thing that they monitor, these various stations, and you can see right now there's nothing there. But if you go and look at the history of stuff, like in here, advisory history, you can sometimes see. Well, these are all there. There were some earlier spikes that occurred. Like we were looking downwind, down here, and we didn't really see much gas there as well. That's pretty low. There's another devastation point, and it's a little spike there, but otherwise not, right? So at this point, these sensors are not showing much in the way of gas, which is consistent with the measurements.
So the way the gas outflow. Oh, sorry, I gotta move the thing back. Sorry, hold on. I'm not on my game today.
Hold on, everybody.
Where?
Sorry. I should have trademarked Canada. I should have warned you ahead of time.
I was so unprepared. Anyway, what was I gonna say about about the gas outpouring? The gas is really like only dangerous if A, you don't know where it's going, like if the wind changes, or B, like basically it's not really a problem unless you're downwind. Essentially, is that about right?
Yes. And it has, the gas. There's various types of hazards. Probably mining can speak better to than I can. There are various types of hazards that are there, but essentially the stream tends to be here. Now there's not much wind at all. If there was a wind, we would see kind of a plume going this way. Generally, the trade winds blow towards the southwest. So they kind of knew, given the wind patterns when approaching it from the side, as to what it is. And then, of course, they waited until dawn to have helicopter flights over there to see what was happening, because you can also visually see the gas plumes and determine where lava is flowing, plan the strategy for getting access to the lava flows. But it was a short-term period, and that's the way she'd go sometimes.
Nice. And what, Maanyaa, you've got, I mean, every time we do this show, we kind of get into, like, the safety gear, but then veer off of it because we don't usually have time. But today, I think we do have some time. So, Maanyaa, do you want to, like, kind of walk us through, the health and safety aspects of it? Because I know we should probably talk about it more than we do, but...
Yeah, so what's the backup like? The extraction scenario, or the extraction, the equipment that's used, or the process that's used. What's that? For example, if you went down there and suddenly you were down because of something, so what would that scenario look like in a rescue?
Okay, couple of things for that. First of all, when you're approaching the lava field, you're not going alone. You have a planned route. There's a purpose of time. The multiple approaches are taken from a landing site that's predicted, but the helicopter pilot that's going there has responsibility to evaluate whether the place that they think they're going to land is actually safe to land. So there's an assessment made at that time, as well as to where it is, and if there's a radical change in things, they might back off, or they might come in a different approach. But then there's a notion of time, and of how long they're going to be there for, how long they think they can need. So they have the number of people there to establish instruments and do collection. The number of people that are supposed to be there. There's a notion of a count. So the count is done before you leave. The count is done when the helicopter's getting ready to take off. There's a thermal scan done in the area to make sure that sometimes you miscount people. Sounds crazy, but that can happen.
What would happen
if there was a problem? Okay.
Yeah.
But there's other scenarios.
Yeah,
so
that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. If Landon's down, how is Landon going to be rescued? I don't wish that, but that's just a
there are other. Okay, so there are other.
Landon down. Landon down. Landon down.
Let's say, for example, that the helicopter is not functional. It has a failure. Then there are other helicopters that can come in.
Okay.
Also, there is a medical team. There's somebody there that is experienced in volcanic first aid. This is not just, you scraped your knee, let me give you a nice Care Bears bandage and get you on the forehead. There's somebody who was trained in how to handle injuries. There is a evac medical kit.
Guys, we're not gonna Care Bear stare we're not gonna Care Bear stare the volcano, guys.
Let's see. If let's say a worse situation where there was, let's say you get a helicopter crash, or let's say something happens, there's a big earthquake, and the team gets cut off between the spot that is that there are and the helicopter, right? Some rift is opened up for some reason. There is also the helicopter does have basically a basket that they can bring people out if they can't cross the spot. If there are incidents, they are recorded and logged and analyzed afterwards. So if something minor happens, it's not just brushed under the rug. It is actually logged, and there's a whole procedure for let's learn from what happened here.
So you have a system to log them, and then after the investigation finishes, to put the data in of what you found from the investigation, and if there are any opportunities for improvement, you
exactly. That's very important. That's very important.
Maanya's gonna evolve into her next form and then move to another part of the planet again to go do health and safety for volcano exploration, and you should take her to Antarctica next time.
Why not?
In terms,
don't take me. I'm useless.
The team, well,
piss everybody off.
You don't sit there and say, "Hey, we need 5 people. Who wants to go?" Right? There's a protocol, a team of who goes on the team. In particular, you have at least one person who is the event coordinator on site, and there's someone back at the station. So the person who's on the ground has the responsibility to make calls, as well as the person back there. And there's a radio. You're in radio communication, and there are signals where you say things like, "Hey, we're 10 minutes to time to leave, wrap up," or "Hey, the situation has changed, pack up and leave," versus "Hey, the situation is urgent, drop whatever you have in your hands and go immediately back to the evacuation point."
Yeah.
Maanyaa, go ahead.
I'm just coming up with like every scenario possible where it's like, oh my god. Okay, sorry. So one, has it ever happened that you've had like all your communications channels out of whack, can't use them, and do you have a protocol around that if that happens? I'm listening.
If you cannot hear your comms channel, you alert someone else and you go back to the helicopter. So the assumption is, if you've lost the chatter, if you've lost the communication, audio communication, you assume that you have to leave, and you let someone know. There's a thing that's kind of, and it's a similar thing that divers use, where they basically say, I can't. They point and say, I can't hear. I'm not getting anything. Could it be something as simple as the battery on your little your earpiece thing fails? And so the notion of calm is there. There are several radio channels that are used. Certainly, also the helicopter has essentially radio arrays and stuff, because when they're flying, they have to do the whole FAA stuff of communicating, announcing they're leaving, that sort of thing. So there's communication there. So radio communication is there. There's cellular communication. You also have on site a satellite phone. There's an Pelican case. And
do those satellite phones run off of Rogers, Bell, Telus, Starlink?
No. They're typically the favorite thing is the Iridium and and also you have an Inmarsat. In fact, that's something I do. I have in my car, in the trunk of my car, I have a satellite phone. Mm-hmm. The car is bent on something like an earthquake. The car is a pretty resilient object, and if you're out in a situation where you don't have cell towers, or your cell towers are not functional, use a satellite phone.
Yeah, but you're worried about an earthquake. It's definitely not you being worried about being kidnapped by Canadians from over the border.
Yes.
Landon's like, I would rather be in Canada. I'm not gonna lie. But I keep trying to sneak in Kinder eggs, and they won't let me stay.
So okay.
Yes.
So one last final question around that, and then I'll stop nagging you. So how do you establish that?
Please continue.
Okay, so your radio stopped working, right? Okay, for example, your
Yes.
radios are down. They went down for some reason. How do you establish that? How do you how does the team on the ground establish that if that happens that okay, the radio communication is out? How do you establish that? I know it's a very specific question.
There's constant chatter in the thing. There's constant updates, right? Where somebody at service is reporting on wind direction, reporting on quakes, they're reporting on gas levels, they're reporting on other things. So if you hear 30 seconds plus of silence, you begin to wonder what's going on. There's sort of a constant sort of a drone of things. Now there are things where someone can break in and say, but if you don't have, you're not hearing the base communicating to you,
there's no
something's happening.
But there's no but there's no specific protocol to check, that maybe the pilot of the helicopters just picks up, his radio at these intervals maybe and say, okay, we are still up and running, and the tower confirms that. That I don't know if that's.
Well, here's the thing. So for example,
chatter and stuff can,
Well, here's the thing. For example, with the notion of if you have a live lava flow and it says we have 20 minutes to go in there, take our sample, and leave. You have somebody who is, for example, at least once a minute saying, 19 minutes to exit.
Some poor bastard just has to stare at a clock. Oh God!
It's kind of I guess it's kind of like a radar tower at an airport, right? Yeah. There are things going on where people are making stuff. There are certain things you could say, essentially would say, urgent, evacuate immediately, or drop and evacuate is sort of the fastest thing, which they say, whatever you have in your hands, doesn't matter, let it go back to your evac point, and then people start reporting saying,
I'm just tweaking your brains because
returning 3 to base.
I'm tweaking your brains because it's so okay, you time your visits to the surface, to the ground. Okay, you will be there for minimum to maximum this amount of time, and out of that, and after that, you're out, right? So,
yes.
Which is a good
strategy. For a live eruption. Yeah, for a live eruption.
Still,
now, if you're out there just collecting rock samples, a different story.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good strategy, to time your presence. Like, this is how much time we are going to take, and after this time, if whatever couldn't do something, and still there was stuff left to do, doesn't matter, just get out of there. So that's a good strategy. The communications down being, because I specifically, maybe think about this later, why I'm asking that question is, like, do you check in with the team on the ground? Like, there's a separate, like, communication.
Oh, yes. There's a check thing where the team, the person, now you're oftentimes a visual flag, visual range of your people, but there's also a check that the base is basically saying, a status check,
Smitty from the chat
check or two
says you gotta time it so that you abandon the sand crawler as late as possible to maximize spice profits. We also have a question. I got that reference. Okay, Captain America. We got Crusher from the chat also has a question. They asked, why does magma look like lasagna?
Yeah, that's up there.
Well,
forbidden lasagna. I don't know. Why does lasagna taste like magma right when it comes out of the fucking gut?
I mean,
tastes like burnt tongue.
They they may be talking about lava.
It's folded.
Magma under the surface is liquid stuff in the rock, and very few people have seen it.
Rats.
Because it's by definition underground. But the lava, the stuff that's on the top, when it first starts off, has it can be sort of, depending upon the materials in it and impurities, it could be have a black sort of obsidian. You also get very silvery. I think that's another thing that happens if you have more of the silicates. You could get a very silicate surface area. Depends on. You can also get things that look like oil sheen. Basically, these colors kind of depends upon how transparent or translucent the surface is and refraction off the surface there. So really fresh stuff is rarely red, because the red liquid stuff, when it meets contact with the air, immediately freezes. So you're basically seeing frozen sheens on the top, and those frozen sheens, depending upon what's there, can be there. Now, the notion of how the lava flows, there are kind of two types of flows. There's pohoyoi, which is a kind of ropey stuff you were seeing. There's which is more like a bunch of cinders, crinkly stuff, where the flow is sort of tearing the rock. It's freezing, and you get a lot of chinky, chinkers, little bits of rock that fall off of it. They become more like, it looks more like a bunch of coals in a fire than the ropey lava. So I think you're talking about the lasagna stuff. The pohoyoi is a more of a higher temperature flow type of system than the pasty lava that gets extruded up through cracks.
So coming back.
Go ahead. Other questions, Maanyaa?
Coming back. So I don't know still. I might have missed it, but I don't know still if there's a protocol between the team on the ground, including the helicopter, that gets regularly status checked on, whether everything's fine, to ensure that the communication is happening and the team.
Yeah. So the team leader on the ground is responsible for identifying the location of people, and will communicate to the base, saying, and so the base will come and say 17 minutes to ETD, and the responder will say, will acknowledge 17 minutes in visual sight of four.
So that happens. That happens right at the end when you're about to run out of time, or is it?
Well, usually if we're talking about a short-term thing, you might see the point where you might see every minute to 2 minutes. If it's longer term, like longer visit, like let's say you're going to, when the lava lake was in Halimau and people are coming to the edge, we're going to spend maybe an hour or so. Then there's more like a 5-minute status checks as opposed to stuff. As it gets closer to there, when you get to the point of saying
that's what I'm
it's
asking.
time to go.
That's what I'm asking. The status check.
And then if you're talking about something, let's say that someone's going to drive out to that area or drive to the area near the area to do a post-eruption assessment, right? That where the hazard is less, they still will have a notion of people know who's there, how long they're going to be, and there's a frequency check for making sure that you know where they are, right? So if they don't report back, then you assume something happened, and you go looking for them. Now it can be something as simple as they dropped the radio and bang, right? Everyone drops their radio once in a while, right?
Sure.
And that sort of loss of communication,
Butterfingers.
There's assumption that they're in trouble, right? But it can also be the case, when the summit was collapsing and you had these armored vehicles out there, they would sometimes get pounded on by large boulders. There were, in the throes of the beginning of the summit collapse, right? When I was at Maanyaa, we were observing the lava lake. At the time, it was a tiny hole, it looked like a little drain plug. It's not the big thing; it was a tiny hole, and we saw the lava lake plunge. We visually saw it start to descend down, and watched it go about 200 meters. It goes piston
That's
up and down, but this is like a sudden drop, right? And so we reported this drop, and as reported, they come back and got a confirmation of the tilt meters, saying the tilt meters are changing. Then it was like evac thing, and in fact, by the time we had left, the lava lake had dropped 500 meters, and the That's thing hard to remember about volcanoes is that they're most dangerous when they collapse in on themselves. It's not the bang explosion pushing out. It's the falling.
That's just energy released. Yeah. That's just energy released, so that's fine.
An implosion can cause a reaction.
That's like gathering. That energy is still in there, like a pressure cooker ready to like.
And so our team pulled the thing of the person there confirmed, because it does go up and down. That's not the thing, but this was like a plunge. It kept plunging. And it's like, oh dear, the magma's moving. The lake is draining rapidly. We don't know, and so time to get out there. And so in fact, I at that time, not only did I leave we evacuated to the center, but I said, I'm packing up my bags and going home, right? I left, and it wasn't more than a couple of days before the volcano was throwing out refrigerator-sized boulders about a kilometer into the air, straight up, as the stuff was collapsing and coming back down.
And what's that in freedom units?
Hazard.
1 kilometer upwards. How tall is that?
How many washing machines large is that?
One really big washing machine. Real quick.
Big problem where it was immersing people. Go
ahead. Sar, thank you so much for becoming a member. He said, "Fine, go buy a chocolate bar." Thank you. Well, probably not.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm gonna need a lot more $50s to afford all of Puck's freaking medical bills. So after that, I'll work on getting enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
And
but thank you though, I appreciate that. Very funny.
So yeah, the big problem there were tourists and people bypassing the don't go near the volcano vent signs and having to be rescued. I know of one case where the person's car got essentially splatted by a large boulder, and they were outside looky-loo taking pictures in defiance of big signs saying extremely dangerous, stay back. This is one of the rare times. The last time that Kilauea had explosive eruptions prior to 2018 was in 1927. So it's a rare thing, but they were saying, hey, this is serious. And you could see things going boom, way up in the air. Fortunately, the way the vent occurred, it was vertical, so they kind of went up and back down in the same spot. But this person's car did get splattered, but the rangers kind of knew where they were and came in, and they were rescued and billed. Right, that was the thing. The people coming in to rescue stupid people, they would rescue them. They were not happy doing it because you put the rescuers at risk. And that the protocol for rescuing people doing stupid things is another whole deal. I'm not a emergency responder. And that person, I know in particular was assessed. They basically were billed for the cost of the rescue.
Landon's head just almost disappeared, like to the right, to the bottom corner of the street, and I was just like, can I grab it and bring it back? And then Landon's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna come close to the camera. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah, but normally it's a very safe protocol for going with people who know what they're doing. and the assessments are there. They've got a marvelous safety record for doing that. Also, Madam Pele, House of Madam Pele is a nice, gentle volcano. It's not a cranky one.
We should start looking to wrap up, but we do have one question that's a little bit off topic, but I think we can hit it. Yeah, go ahead, Maanyaa. You can go first.
Predictions too.
Do you have
Yes.
I might have missed it, but do you have an emergency response team?
Yeah, the park does have an emergency services there that has, and they have there's also a fire rescue. There's also a air rescue.
Okay.
Thing because, in part, they can't really rope off the entire place. They can't, and the native people do have access to the spot by
yes. Of course.
rights. But typically you're not rescuing the natives. You're rescuing some stupid idiot from stupid land.
Isn't
that always the case? I have a hot take about this, but maybe that's for another time. I don't need to start a war today, maybe tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow is the tavern, so if you are interested in politics and talking about, like, some dumb shit, that's tomorrow. But the question that we have is from Crusher, and they ask, out of curiosity, do you know about the processes that formed the San Francisco peaks up in northern Arizona? Genuinely curious, as I do enjoy the surrounding area of Flagstaff.
Yeah, that was a fairly, one of the more recent, in that area, there's some more recent lava flows on the continental U.S. Mount Lassen's 1915 really didn't have much in the way of flows, but it was a fairly significant flow that occurred in the area. And it's something we could do a little bit of geology on that volcanic thing. But it is an actual relatively geologically recent eruption and flow that occurred. In fact, I just remember because when we were there for the 2023 angular solar eclipse, we went by and actually visited that area because it's the San Francisco peaks in Arizona are actually quite a fun spot, geologically speaking. But we should probably do something like that
yeah, we can go in depth a little bit more, and maybe we'll bring Dapper for that because that seems like a him kind of conversation. Or maybe I can reach out to Steven, what's his last name? Oh, brain. Geologist. He's a geologist.
That's Steven.
Yeah, that's Steven. There's only one Steve who's a geologist, guys. There's only one. And his name is Steve, so he's probably an asshole. Bowman, thank you. Yeah, Smitty knew who I was talking about. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad somebody knew who I was talking about. And maybe we can reach out to him and have him come on and talk to us a little bit more in depth about it.
Yeah.
Predictions. Landon, you want to go first, then Maanyaa?
Oh. Do you want to?
Well, should we look at how badly we got it last time?
Yes.
Please, Maanyaa?
Yeah. Yep. Alrighty, let's go. Landon. Swarm of earthquakes, periods of quakes, and then silence, tilt meters, deflation, inflation events every couple of days with minimum movement of the magma, and earthquakes in the east rift zone along the spine, down the spine, not much great gas output, no eruption. That's a good one.
If it wasn't for the fact that Pele had this 12-hour eruption, that would have been your perfect prediction.
It wasn't for the eruption thing.
Yeah.
Chess had said, same kind of trend, keep seeing on the move, so not settled yet. So she's like, yeah, something similar than with Landon, but there's still movement. So she's partially right that there's movement. Yeah.
There was in fact movement, yeah.
I said that I had said that I agree with Chesh, her prediction, and then Zar from the live chat has said that an eruption is going to happen. So they are they got it.
Zar's the winner! Yay!
And Katina had said mostly she will mostly rumble, and April had said more rumbles and outgassing. So I guess Zar is the one who was like on point about it. So
yep.
congratulations,
Yay!
mate.
Congratulations! Yay!
Alrighty. So now,
should we ask the chat to also type in their predictions too?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Type in what your predictions are for next month.
For the next month.
do you want me to note, Chesh? Why would you do that to me?
What? Do what?
I will have to write down their predictions.
You did that last time. What's the? You don't want to do it this time? I can copy and paste it and send it to you.
Last time there were only 3 people here. Yeah, copy paste and send it to me.
Give us your predictions.
The number keeps increasing. Okay, here we go.
Oh my god, people are watching the show. What the fuck? And participating? Nonsense!
Oh no! How dare they?
Fuck!
Okay, so my prediction is, let's start. My prediction is something similar like this will happen again.
You think it's gonna, like, stay on a trend and then erupt again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you think there'll be another small eruption, and so basically the same sort of thing repeating next month, okay?
Yeah.
All right, Chesh?
I think we're actually gonna see it continue to deflate for a little bit. We're gonna see less and less. We're just gonna settle down for a little while. The rest of the month.
And
might have mini spikes, but
yeah. So I predict that we will be seeing inflation events every couple of days. We will have mostly low gas output broken by another eruption on the southwest rift zone that will be short-lived.
I am adding people's predictions in. Crusher says, thank you for the information, Landon. There you go.
Oh, you're welcome.
What did you say about the gases, Landon?
Oh, that the gases will be low, except of course when there's an eruption, right? You'll have a short-lived eruption where they will, because by definition, gases come out in eruptions, right? So you'll see. So, cause just gonna say, right now we've got a couple hundred tons per day, and it'll go wrong for a while, and then we'll get another southwest rift eruption that'll be short term, and maybe finished by the time we have our next.
Oh, thank you.
Our next session.
You said
there's also
along
a little bit
southwest, right?
Oh.
Yeah, southwest rift zone.
There is also a news from Rodent No Last Name in the chat. Said, news from Iceland. It appears that the magma chamber is filling at the same rate the current vent is extruding. This eruption may go on for a while.
Yes, that peninsula eruption seems to be lasting there. It has moved around as to where it's broken out, but the magma chamber certainly seems quite active. As I'm told by the people monitoring tilt meters in that region, that the magma chamber turnover is quite active, right? It's quite rapid turnover in the magma chamber cycling, suggesting there's lots of energy coming up in the eruption. So it doesn't seem like it is waning anytime soon. Now, I think longer term, that was a prediction for next month. There might there might be a minute say that there very likely will be another short eruption occurring next month. I think longer term we will see a major eruption in the southwest rift zone, but that's beyond a month, right? There'll be these little bits.
So I'm just gonna quick read out everybody else's. We got quite a few predictions in the chat. I already sent them to Maanyaa, so she has time to write them down, but I want to make sure that we highlight your guys' predictions so we can look at them for next month. April said hellfire and brimstone, so I assume that means like an eruption, like a major one. Crusher said smaller eruption, maybe next month. Smitty said, whatever Chesh predicts, I predict the opposite. So an ongoing continuous eruption for the rest of the month. Because that would be the opposite. Because I said it's going to downturn. So the opposite would be ongoing constant eruptions. I'm here for that. And Sar said, I think the volcano will be nauseated, but be able to keep it down for a bit. So if I'm interpreting that correctly, we're going to see, like, wobbling up and down, but it's not going to erupt, and it's not going to settle. It's just going to be wobbling around. Yeah, Pele's going to be dancing. Hopefully I got those right. If I misrepresented what your prediction was, I apologize. Please update me in the chat if you think that's the case. Athens is also recommending that we add beans. Athens also said his prediction is 42, but I'm not counting that. 42 what? Eruptions?
So
around the world?
Very good. Well,
or just in Kilauea? Kilauea's just gonna erupt 42 times in the next month? Ah!
Oh god. You never know. Madam Pele will be like,
yeah, you're fair.
I do want to appreciate the people that check in every month on the ongoing events in Kilauea. I think you're going to benefit from the fact that once you sort of begin to see over the many months and years the cycles of Kilauea, when it does something, you have a better context of what's happening. It's too bad that the eruption didn't turn into a major eruption along the rift zone. That would have been nice, pretty to see. But Pele has a history of also these little mini spurts, so we might get it. I'm predicting that we're likely to get one next month, maybe.
So, what's everybody up to as we start wrapping up here? Maanyaa, what are you doing? Then Landon, then I'll go.
You know what I'm doing. You know what I'm doing.
Shenanigans.
Causing havoc. Shenanigans, yes.
Trolling.
Yes. And we're worrying about my cat.
That's true. You are hover parenting that cat right now.
Yes.
How is Proton?
He's good. He's sleeping. He's sleeping on my couch, so yeah.
Wonderful. You have that vet appointment coming up, right?
Huh?
You have a vet appointment for the cat coming up, right? For Dr. Proton?
Yes, this coming week. Yes, there's a vet appointment, so hopefully I will get some answers that will settle me down, or yeah,
or stress you out more. Who knows? Who's to say?
Yeah, he's doing fine. He's doing fine.
Maanyaa is going to be live with us tomorrow, as it is the tavern, so that's what she's going to be up to. And then, of course, Dumbfuck Fridays throughout the month. Landon, what are you up to?
Well, there is I'm probably going to be on Low Energy Video show on the July 7th, starting at 13:30. I think. Are you going to be on that one as well, or
which one?
Cheshire not.
Huh? What?
Low Energy Videos show.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm showing up at Low Energy Videos stream. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to be there, but I will be there.
I will be there as well. So that's on July 7th, starting at 13:30 Pacific time.
Puck is creeping, by the way. Look at him.
Oh. Hi, Puck. Puck is wondering. Can you be booped, or is this a boop free zone?
Sorry, go on, Landon. He does that. He just pokes his head barely in the doorway.
On June 27th, we're going to do the Before Earth after show, where it'll be Ask Us Anything question. We just did our fifth show, and so we will have that basically Ask Us Anything about what happened the last 13.78 billion years in the cosmos. Not that we'll have an answer, but you can ask us anyway.
So yeah, we have the tavern coming up. I'll be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday doing art and chatting stuff over on Twitch. Members are getting videos that are between 4 and 5 hours long, by the way. 4 and 6 hours long, sometimes 7. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There's also tavern videos that are on their way out, so if you missed a tavern or you just want to see a topic, those are going to be available. There's also, and they're like, most of them are available already for members if you want them early. If you don't, it's fine. It's $1.50 if you're interested. Starting at, you can always provide more if you want. Greatly appreciated either way, liking and sharing and subscribing and all that shit. Anyway, self-promotion out of the way.
Yes.
There's also Dumbfact Fridays on Fridays. There's a microbrew coming up in not next week, the following week.
June
where
19th.
Low Energy Vince is going to join us.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
It'll be revenge. So yes, June. That's the June 19th show. That should be a fun.
Yes.
Thing.
So that's coming up. Just be aware that I will be gone last week of July, first week of August. I'm sure there will still be content available for you guys that will come out during that amount of time.
Yeah, don't leave us hanging.
Away. And I'm sure Dapper and Maanyaa definitely will not decide to take over the channel during that week at any point in time, and probably not get me in trouble.
They will remain professional.
Yes, and we will be back with more Volcano stuff if you're interested. This is one of my favorite shows. As distracted as I might seem, I am not. I am listening, and I am producing. I am very busy. Don't judge me.
And you're sometimes funny.
Sometimes, allegedly. Don't accuse me of things. Anyway. Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna get on out of here. This has been a great show, and we'll see you guys. Bye. Oh, and special thanks to Benthoven again, because I haven't thanked him in a little while for making this audio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I broke it.